What came first, the chicken or the egg? At Heifer International, we have the answer. This chicken lays eggs, producing more little chickens and more eggs. These eggs can feed a family in need. The family can also sell the eggs to buy books for school or medicine for a sick child, lifting an entire family out of hunger and poverty. Not bad for the gift of one little chicken. Heifer International. Learn more at heifer.org.
During the Spanish Civil War, Dan West, a youthful relief worker of the Church of the Brethren from Indiana, watched with growing frustration as his fellow workers distributed a chalky mixture of dried milk and water. It was obvious to West that the hungry of the world could never be adequately fed on the hand-to-mouth basis of the traditional relief package system. West was convinced that a hungry man needs a continuing source of food. He needs to maintain his self-respect. Above all, he needs hope.
I think in a sense we told you the basic purpose is to provide people with a source of their own food production so they can provide for themselves without having to feel like they're continually on charity.
In other words, the solutions is not for us to send them temporary help, but to help them develop to a point where they can produce their own food and fiber.
That's right.
I think.
It started with an idea that by believing in ourselves, we could believe in each other, that the power of hope could spread like wildfire and light the potential that lies within each of us. It started when we believed that one family, one cow, one community at a time, we could change the world. It started with farmers.
Hello, I'm Brent Carlson. Welcome to Brethren Voices. Dan West was a farmer from Indiana, as well as a leader in the Church of the Brethren. In 1937, Dan went to Spain and volunteered in a program that combined the efforts of the Mennonites, the Brethren, and American Friends Service Committee to assist the survivors of the Spanish Civil War. He developed a personal desire to do as much for peace as soldiers do in war. They gave out food and clothing to people in need, and Dan saw firsthand that giving people food was a short-term solution. As a farmer, he felt that providing them with animals would provide a much better, steady stream of nutritious food for the entire family. The Heifer Project became a reality with much planning and inspired generosity on behalf of the Brethren membership and community. Initially, the United Nations Relief and Rehabilitation Program planned to only send food, goods, and supplies. But they decided to endorse Dan's plan of sending livestock to a war-torn Europe. Following the Second World War, a group of young farmers then volunteered to accompany the first shipments of livestock into devastated communities of Europe, Asia, and even behind the Iron Curtain. In 1946, Greece became the first destination to receive a test shipment. These volunteers became known as the Sea-Going Cowboys, as they cared for the animals on these ocean-going trips. 7,000 sea-going cowboys combined their efforts to make a total of about 360 journeys across the ocean during a period of nearly 3 years.
I got a card from New Windsor, Maryland, saying that if I wanted to go on a seagoing trip, I could go down to New Orleans, Louisiana. So I thought, that's great, I get to travel. I had never been out of the state except twice. So going abroad was something really big for me. We had about 30 cowboys on the ship. We were in a bad storm coming up from New Zealand to China. It was raining and terrible, but they had to go up to the bow of the ship and go down into the hold to see if the livestock was all right. But when they come back up, they slipped on the wet deck and slid. There was a chain about 18 inches off, and he had slid under the chain, and he just reached up and grabbed the chain. If he had gone overboard, there's no question, nobody had ever seen him again. You have so much more appreciation for everything. You appreciate language so much more, and a desire to learn more about other people and their good points and their problems, and it was a wonderful experience.
I went on the Rock Springs Victory cowboy ship to Greece and Ethiopia in 1947. I had an older brother who finished up his CPS by going to Greece. I went on a cattle boat. He wrote home and said, "Howard, you have to do this." The most stick out in my mind thing was the unbelievable hunger. That's what struck me most about the trip. There were wonderful things about it and great things, but that's what stuck with me. It was a total change of life. I was never the same. I was so much more socially conscious. I said it was like almost like starting life all over again.
The Heifer Project of the Church of the Brethren, since then, has become Heifer International. But today, Dan West's philosophy still inspires the work of Heifer International. Partnering with farmers across the range of different livestock and crops, Heifer provides unique solutions to local challenges. Residents of local communities are assisted by Heifer to build inclusive, resilient economies so communities can develop effective ways to end hunger and poverty in sustainable ways. This happens in the United States as well as numerous places around the world. Here's the story of the Blue Mountain Vegetable Farm of Arkansas, right here in the United States.
I became interested in farming in 2010 when I volunteered at Heifer Ranch. I grew up here and I never thought we would be able to sell locally. I think people feel really connected to our journey because they hear from us daily, they see what we're doing, they see the hard work happening in the field.
We moved to this land in 2018 and it was just a pasture behind me of Johnson grass that was 5 feet tall. It looked very impossible. We kept our gate locked the first year and a half we were here. No one could come in. Everybody was curious, driving by very, very slowly. We kind of built like some suspense to it, I guess, and it paid off because as soon as we opened the gates, everybody just kind of flooded in with their questions and their wallets and their support.
Heifer has been a part of this pretty much from day one. We've formed a great relationship with their farmer, Sean, and he is always advising us on ways that we can improve our farm, and through Heifer Ranch they're able to try a lot of new things, what works, what doesn't work, and teach us.
Being able to check out the walk-behind tractor through Heifer was huge for us. We were able to get all these gardens built last year with that machine. We were able to get to the market on time with crops. This couldn't be right now without it. It'll be amazing to see what this looks like 5 years from now, 10 years from now. It's just unbelievable to think what it will be. I have high hope for this type of farming to just really explode on the scene and become hip and the new kind of thing to do.
Initially, the outreach of Heifer Project and then Heifer International was shaped to serve others around the world. Much has changed during the 75 years since then, from a time of shipping animals long distances to assisting to improve livestock and agricultural development locally, wherever that might be. Here's an amazing story of women in Peru and their business of producing quality fibers with the help of alpacas.
Muy buenos días, hoy día 20 de junio estamos saliendo con nuestro programa Emprendedor Natural Paya. Buenos días, hermana Emiliana. Muy buenos días. Artesanal, nuestra fibra, ¿no? Antes así nomás hacíamos, ¿no? Sin escarminar, sin limpiar, ¿no? Entonces la prenda también nos salía mal. Entonces, gracias a estas capacitaciones que nos han brindado Heifer, Red Social, quizás más adelante vamos a vender un producto de un precio justo de productor a consumidor. Eso es lo que nosotros queremos, hermana Emiliana.
At an altitude of more than 14,000 feet in the Peruvian Andes, the climate is unforgiving. Here, Heifer International is supporting a program centered around the alpaca, one of the few resources that these indigenous herders have to help them survive.
I think it's like 6:30 a.m. and temperature is around 2 degrees. We are at 14,000 feet, and in this altitude it's difficult to breathe. In this area, people don't have electricity, they don't have potable water, they don't have heaters, so imagine how is the life here.
Soti Epifania con demais tokotoloki no que tiene para cucharaiko para cucharta oiwaspa.
Epifania is teaching to dosify in order to avoid internal parasites. So the idea is to have leaders who can share their knowledge with neighbors. Usually farmers are linked with the idea that you are poor and you don't have the right to live well. So we are trying to change that point of view. And we are trying to make changes in order that one family who lives in the top of the mountain could live in the same way that people who live in the cities.
Once the women in the mountains have harvested the alpaca fiber, they deliver it to another group of women who manufacture it into thread.
Pues bueno, están trabajando, están haciendo hilos. Y aquí, como podemos ver, están haciendo también fieltro. Y allá, pues nuestros compañeros están haciendo el tejido.
Fibra presuleña más presuña, entonces wasiman no can chi colocación gastani wawaikuna colegio escuela pronoipe entonces chi utiliznim wakichan kan mantinikuna ikopa.
Nosotros hemos comenzado con 35 señoras, con 35 mujeres. Ahora tenemos 45 mujeres, porque hay mujeres que viven en el campo y comparten sus experiencias y dicen que este trabajo sí es bueno. Entonces las otras personas se animan y vienen a trabajar.
El otro miércoles a las 9:30 estaremos también regresando con nuestro programa Emprendedores de Natural Bacha.
After the women spin the fiber and thread into products, it is passed to yet another group of women who bring the products to market.
bro. ¿Será cuando puedas? Vamos a tomar fotos con nuestras prendas en los modelos y después luego vamos a descargar las fotos a Facebook, a páginas web, a nuestros correos. Ya. Okay. Ahí está. Eso no me va a ver. Esta, breve. Esta. No, ya está ya. ¿Está ya, verdad? Entre internet. 790. Estas costumbres heredamos desde nuestros abuelos, pero ahora nosotros ya estamos combinando con la tecnología, ¿no?
Sí. Excelente.
Nosotros esperamos tener un mercado directo para poder vender en un precio justo nuestros trabajos a través de la tecnología. De ahí nosotros hemos tenido algunos contactos para poder vender a los clientes.
Buenos días.
Buenos días, compañera. ¿Cómo está usted?
Muy bien, muchos saludos desde Lima, muchos saludos de parte de Dirección Nacional. Felicitarlas por el trabajo que vienen haciendo.
De igual manera. Gracias.
Entonces, ahí estábamos junto con las artesanas que ya de repente ya están exportando, ¿no? Pequeñas empresas que ya tienen un mercado internacional. Nosotros hemos estado compitiendo con ellas también, ¿no? Ese es nuestro sueño, porque si nos hemos capacitado, nos vamos a quedar ahí, nomás no habría resultados, sino nosotros queremos avanzar, queremos buscar siempre mercado para dar más trabajo a nuestras compañeras artesanas que tenemos en nuestras bases.
Sí. Esas son las fotos. De todos más ya no tengo yo. Tú puedes hacer uno. A ver qué tal está eso.
Esto me parece.
Ya selecciona entonces. No.
Esto. Eso te quiero.
And then there are goats, one of the comedians of God's creation, which can be a blessing to many.
Tuyitacha abalimi bambushi. Tuyitacha abalimi bambushi pani pechitupera fyonse. Umi wandikwera nabuchinja. Pandu kale twaletambika kubana mpeniko ya sopo, mpeniko ya fertilizer. Inena chileba fama wa mbushi. Shadi polo bapukira abanandi mbushi. Tali kulusaka ati seni wangu kuti abalepere mbushi. Ila na mfuire fyo ina mwera kwati mufi barebe pafi. Nomba nera twapokelele mbushi twamwera kwati bale tube pafi pani twinchi twale bombe akozasane. Bale tuseka abanenzi tamwa akapokea mbushi mulebe pafi. Kulinga bana bajondo bene 01 baisa ndamulala mayo bukedi. Ila napokelele mbushi wa meode yo elo nishinindi wala na BP shalele mbushi kubonza. Kwene kulala bwino sana pantu nangu twabulirwa twabula kufika mwaka ushtu shitisha sali yonse munganda saladi nomba tayibula fila twalibula saladi sugar munganda tayibula tola shita kwena ndimtwacha flower direpanga ko tumbwa vilya sana kashukuru kandikala kende ndakalipila kusukulu nensapata kafala febata shunomba kashukuru kandi mfwaka kasambile kakeka libwino nishishira teke musho nare mna kwati ndia fedangu so no mba ino nshita chemfiko muchinshi.
For many farmers around the world, the most difficult problem is getting the produce to market where they can obtain a decent price for their products. Heifer has been able to assist many farmers with that problem by forming cooperatives.
So we're here in Balaoli, sub-county Kamuli district. We're going to visit some of the farmers we are supporting under EADD1 who have got challenges with accessing milk markets.
In rural Uganda, dairy farming is one of the only opportunities that farmers have to earn a living wage. But a lack of sanitation and quality control means many farmers receive a low yield at regional markets.
This is my man.
Oh, this transporter.
Okay.
How many did you get today?
Liters. Oh. So far 8.
Today you got 8, eh?
Yes.
How do you feel about this whole marketing milk?
Here. Low price.
Low price?
Really low price. I think now they are giving us 400
shillings a liter.
A liter.
And you know how much the milk is sold in Jinja?
I don't know.
So you don't know whether you don't know how much you are getting over that?
Yes.
In Jinja they sell the milk between 1,000 shillings?
Yeah, plus.
And 1,200 shillings?
Yeah.
You're just getting about a third of the value of the milk. How do you feel about that?
I feel like they are just neglecting us. We want to suck things, but we don't have power.
Down the road, things are looking better. Jumbo serves as a milk collection hub as part of Heifer's East Africa Dairy Development Program. The program is designed to boost the milk yields and incomes of small-scale farmers in Africa so that they can lift their communities out of hunger and poverty.
We are struggling a lot before. We are not very much knowledgeable about getting more milk from our cows. We are thinking that what you get is what you have to get. But when we were trained, we learned how to feed the cows, how we can grow that grass. We gained more skills in feeding the cow and to get enough milk.
By bulking their milk together, Jumbo's community is able to access larger markets and demand higher prices for their milk.
This lactometer indicates the content of the milk. 30, 35, 40, that is the best. We are hurrying. We do not want to reach here there late. If you go there late, they send you away or they reject your milk. Safe journey.
This is the milk reception center. The farmers are 394 per day. Whatever milk brought in is tested for quality. As you can see, the quality controller is picking a sample from each can and testing for quality. He's using alcohol or ethanol to test for the bacteria content. After there, when the milk is tested good, it is powered into the milk reception tank. And the pump pulls the milk from the milk reception tank into the coolers. And it is the same with when we are loading to the truck. Farmers at the beginning had several challenges. And the biggest challenge was over-exploitation by traders who could buy our milk at a very low price and sell it at a very high price. So they are bulking their milk together. They are now having a bigger bargaining power. And so is increased returns from the milk. We pay farmers an average of 160 million per month, and now we are receiving an average of 6,000 liters per day. That is a great achievement.
There you have seen it. Since 2008, Heifer's East Africa Dairy Development Project has connected more than 203,000 small-scale farmers to dairy hubs and markets. And it all started with the insight of one person's experience in Spain at the time of much civil strife, and has led to an improvement in nearly 39 million people's lives during the last 75 years. Thank you for joining us on Brethren Voices. This is Brent Carlson, wishing you peace. Please pass it on.
The end of hunger and poverty starts here. Of an animal from Heifer International can help a family start a small business, creating food and income for education, medicine, and more, all while caring for the earth. At Heifer International, we help small-scale farmers achieve living incomes through economic development and private sector partnerships. We empower communities by creating women's groups, farmers associations, and cooperatives that strengthen social support networks. And we teach sustainable, earth-friendly agriculture that minimizes environmental impact and reduces the carbon footprint around the world and right here at home. Heifer International. Learn more at heifer.org.